People often regard cancer as some kind of disease that aging exists to compensate. I don't like to look at it quite that way, actually, because for me, everything that goes wrong with our health late in life to a greater extent than it does in early adulthood is part of aging. So I like to regard aging as the combination of a bunch of processes. But certainly it is true to say that at least to some level, aging consists of cancer and everything else. And therefore, the things that the body does to postpone aging as well as it already naturally does consists of finding a kind of happy medium, a trade-off between cancer versus everything else. And what people like Mike and myself are, to a very real extent, engaged in is trying to get the best of both worlds, trying to improve that trade-off by, on the one hand, improving regeneration so that the things that the body does to defend against cancer don't have these bad side effects, but at the same time also to defend against cancer.
You know, I think there's several things cancer and aging have in common. They're both relatively complex processes. We started the war on cancer in the United States, back in the Nixon era, back in the 1960s. And yet we still haven't abolished cancer. And in part that's because cancer is quite complex. I mean, what we now know is that there's different hallmarks and facets of cancer. But the good news is we're beginning to understand those. And one intriguing commonality between aging and cancer is that in almost every cancer, the cells have done a very amazing thing. They've reactivated mechanisms of cells that allow the cells to escape cellular aging. So as we say, they become immortal. Many people have heard about the book, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. And that story came from the fact that one of the first cancer cell lines ever grown in the laboratory dish, the cells don't age, and they're still proliferating after all these years. That's one thing that they have in common, but as I said, the other thing they have in common is they are relatively complex diseases, but ultimately can be understood using modern molecular techniques and modern medical science.
And of course, not merely understood, but also manipulated.
And intervened in.
Yeah.
I'm still optimistic. Some people will say we'll never have a cure for cancer in general. I'm still optimistic that we will. Just in recent years, we've seen, for instance, some new technologies come online called CAR-T that are completely curing individuals of particular types of cancers. And that's just an example of the steady progress that we're making in cancer therapeutics. It's slower in aging therapeutics for several reasons. One, aging is not considered a disease by most people. And there's certainly not the budget. There's not the amount of funding. There's the National Cancer Institute spending billions a year on cancer research. We really need to have that applied to aging because cancer is a big problem. But aging is a problem that afflicts everyone.
Yeah, even the people who don't have cancer.
Yeah.